Hello and welcome to another GED Express Cleancast with me, Teacher Marco. Today we will talk about a topic on your GED Social Studies, which is the American Civil War. Now, I will just talk about a brief summary, what caused it, what events happened after the war. But I still suggest students who are going to be taking the GED Social Studies test to read about uh, what happened during the American Civil War. Get used to reading a lot of passages first or primary sources because the GED Social Studies test will check if you have a good skill on reading those kind of passages. But this will serve as a background so that if you will encounter this particular topic, at least you know a bit about it. Okay, let's begin. Uh, the American Civil War, let's talk about the northern states and the southern states. Why is it called a divided nation? Because they have different ideologies. So here are the differences. The northern states, they call themselves as the Union. They're three times the population of the South. Internationally recognized government of the United States of America. Almost the 90% of industry and railroads were located in the North. 7 out of 10 immigrants settled in the North. Majority of the northern people supported the Republican Party, led by Abraham Lincoln. The Republican Party, strongly nationalist, was anti-slavery, and so it was considered to be anti-Southerners. On the other hand, they call themselves as the Confederacy. The southern states have 3 million slaves of a total of 9 million population. That's 1/3 of the population. Uh, Friendly relationship with France and Britain, who supported the Confederates. Economy based in agrarian exploitation or cotton production. Reliance on slave labor discouraged immigration, and most immigrants settled in the North. Due to this, the South took an aggressive defensive policy. Southern people supported the Democratic Party and wanted John C. Breckinridge to be the president. So, as you can see, they're benefiting so much on slavery. That's why they don't want to give it up. Now, you should know the abolitionist movement. Now, the abolitionist movement was they say it's the main cause of the war, although we have other causes as well. Now, USA was formed by 33 states in 1860. While the economy of the southern states was based on slave labor and they thought slavery was necessary and was part of their social system, in the western or northern states it was created the abolitionist movement against such an abomination. Some abolitionists thought African slaves should be taken back to Africa. Other abolitionists believed that slaves deserve equal rights in America. Okay. Now, the secession of the South, or the separation, on 24 December 1860, South Carolina is the first southern state to break away from the United States. Lincoln is the president at this time, and an emancipation law was feared. Okay, let's talk about emancipation law later. By 1861, the Confederate States of America was formed by 7 southern states. South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. The former cotton slave capital, Montgomery for some months, and Richmond, Virginia until the end of the war. Now we have two presidents at this period. Abraham Lincoln was the 16th president of the USA, leader of the Republican Party, and radical abolitionist. During the war, he was very close to the Union troops, and he himself chose the best commandants for each battle. He was a great speecher and spirited up the public opinion in favor of the Union. Until his assassination, he developed a plan of reunification for the United States of America. Sadly, he wasn't able to see most of the results because he was assassinated just a few weeks after the war ended. Now, Jefferson Davis was the first and last president of the Confederate States of America. Until 1860, he was an important officer in the U.S. Army and a promising politician who became a high charge in the USA Secretary of War and Mississippi Senator. Although in his speeches he was against secession, he was chosen the first president of the CSA in 1861. After the surrender of the southern states in 1865, he was charged with treason, and until the end of his life, he couldn't have a public charge anymore. Yep, first and last. Emancipation Proclamation. So, on 1st of January 1863, I remember the war is ongoing during this time. Although the Confederacy considered itself a new independent country, neither Lincoln nor international community accepted that. They said it's just an imaginary country that you're doing or you're creating. Lincoln continued ruling for the southern states, and in 1st January, it was approved the Emancipation Proclamation, which gave freedom to slaves in the 10 rebel southern states, which didn't return to the Union despite of Lincoln's threats. So let's talk about the war itself. The first stage, from Fort Sumter to Gettysburg. So in March 1861, Lincoln takes the charge of the President of the USA and declares illegal the secession. It declares secession is illegal of the 7 cotton states. In April 12, 1861, South Carolina, the Confederate Army moves to Fort Sumter in the same state. The bombardment resulted in the first victory of the Confederacy. The Union recovers the fort with extreme cruelty days after, and Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina decided to join the Confederacy. The South finances the war with their commercial relationships with European countries. They fight in the Confederacy territory for their independence of the United States. The Confederate Army wins the majority of the battles. It's because of their territory, their familiarity of the area. On 1st of January, New Year's Day 1863, Lincoln doesn't still accept the independence of the Confederacy and writes the Emancipation Proclamation. The leaders of the Confederates are angry because of Lincoln's attitude, and the Confederate Army is moved to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, a territory now of the Union. Now, from Gettysburg to the fall of the Confederacy. So, 1st to 3rd July 1863, Gettysburg marks the turning point of the American Civil War. The Union now beats up the CSA between 46,000 and 51,000 casualties. Yeah, and this is still the bloodiest war that happened in American soil. Okay? Now, at the same time in which Gettysburg events take place, the Union takes Vicksburg, Mississippi. From now on, the Union controls the Mississippi Valley, and the territory of the Confederacy is divided in two. The Union focused their attacks on Virginia. On the 2nd of April 1865, some Confederate generals moved from Richmond to the capital of the Confederacy. On 9th April 1865, the Confederate Army finally surrenders in Appomattox, Virginia. And on 15, like what I said, just a few days, April 1865, Lincoln's murder by a radical supporter, John Wilkes Booth, a radical support of the Confederacy and Fort Theater. So, what were the strategies used? Let's talk about the Anaconda Plan of the USA, the Unionist. So, the Unionist General Winfield Scott proposed a strategy focused on a commercial blockade to the southern states. It consisted in taking control of the southern harbors, avoiding the contact between the Confederacy and Europe. This isolation would make little by little the South to surrender. Their economy was based in the trade of their products and exchange of weapons. The larger population of the United States allowed this plan to work. So as you can see the reference of the Anaconda Plan. Okay. Because they took control of the harbors. So it's like a snake or a huge anaconda who's trying to, paralyze its prey and surrounding it or somehow smothering it. So hence it's called the Anaconda Plan. Now for Confederacy, they play much of the defensive role, securing potential allies such as France and Great Britain was the main aim of the Southern defensive strategy. To do so, it was necessary to show them that they could win the war with their independence. At first, the Confederates attacked the borders between the USA and the CSA, making the Union Army and population to go to northern areas. As war advanced, Confederate Army tried to avoid the Union Army, making the war to last more time as they get allies. What happened? Consequences of the war. More than 600,000 Americans lost their lives and other great number were severely injured. $8 million were lost. Okay, sorry about that typo. The federal government is imposed over the states. So, central power. 13, 14, and 15 amendments of the Constitution, which abolish slavery, give equal rights to African American citizens, was passed, and industry is imposed in the USA, which turned it into the main industrial power. Decrease of cotton trading from the South, and of course, the rise of Southern violent ideologic groups like the Klan. So it's just a brief summary of what happened during the American Civil War. I know you can read more about it, and that's what I highly encourage, but just to give you a background, I hope that I was able to do that today. Thank you so much for your time, and if you want to know more about us, please go ahead and check out our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Phuket PALS. Or check our website, that's phuketpals.org. Thank you for your time, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.